tool steel cased. Hey guys, Sure Midget here. Got a pretty cool rifle to do a video on. So this is a real firearm. This is a friend of mine. He's had this for, I want to say, almost a year, 8 months or so. And I'd say there's probably been close to 1,000 rounds put through it. I didn't make a video on it just because we hadn't really taken it out to confirm zero. It's good to go at 100 yards, but eventually kind of need to confirm the zero at 200 or further. We really only have access to 200 around here, which is good enough for most rifles, if you ask me. So this is a Beryl. This is made in Poland. Now, Poland is a NATO country, so that's why they adopted a 5.56 rifle. If they were, well, back in the day when they were a Warsaw Pact, like under the Soviet Union, they would use 7.6239. But then they joined NATO, and then we have 5.56, so that's what they did. I don't think they adopted a 7.6251 NATO, like a 308 rifle. I think they just went straight to 5.56, which I prefer. Lighter recoil, you can carry more ammo on you. There's actually pictures of these being used in videos in Afghanistan, and probably not Iraq, but definitely Afghanistan. They've been used. So they've been proven. They're reliable guns. And it's a pretty cool gun. I've always been a fan of 5.56 AKs. I have a Zostava 10-inch AK pistol, and I love that thing. Always been a fan of 5.56 AKs. So I'll start from the front and go to the back on this one. So on the front here, we have I want to say it's a flash hider more than anything. It's kind of covered. It's got two holes at an angle. So AKs, the way the action works, those of you that have fired them know, or that own slant brakes, because the AKs recoil up and to the right. So they put these holes in here facing up and to the right and then down and to the left. So it like just equalizes the pressure going up and down. I will get a close-up of that shortly. So it's definitely an interesting choice, and there's actually holes on the side too, directly on the side. So I don't know how they came to the conclusion that this is what we want to do, but they did, and it works. It doesn't recoil a whole lot. It is a long stroke gas piston, which recoils more than your typical AR-15 direct impingement or even piston systems. The barrel here is 16 inches because law in the United States, which is absolutely stupid, but 16 inches provides pretty good velocity for, 5.56, which is good. 5.56 is pretty dependent on velocity for performance, and so 16 inches is pretty good. It is marked 5.56, so it's not like 2.23 or anything, but it will accept 2.23, of course. It does not say the twist rate on the barrel that I can see, but it is a 1 in 9, and so I'm not sure what ammo they use in terms of like the Polish military, because M193 is 55 grain, and that is typically better for 1 in 9, but the M855 62 green tip will also stabilize out of this type of barrel. So I don't know what they primarily use. That would be a question for somebody that has served in Polish military, or Google may give you a result on that. Not sure what type of round they primarily use. So moving forward, again, 16-inch barrel, you got the gas block up here, which is just indicative of your typical AK. There is a sling mount, and it is ambi, so a lot of AKs do have like a single sling mount. I've really never seen a ambidextrous one, so it's on both sides, as you can see right there and then right there, so you can clip it. It's not a quick detach or anything. And then on the back, there's one on the right side, so you can easily sling it. I don't see one on the left side, so I'm not sure how it would have to come across. So that may work, but kind of interesting why, I'm not sure why they didn't just do the same cutout. See that cutout for the sling mount? They could have put it on the other side, and then you can just switch it. So I'm not sure why they went about that, but it does have a front ambi one. The handguard on here is plastic. It's pretty comfortable. It's got like these ribs on there. ribbed for your pleasure on both sides. None on the bottom. I would say a Picatinny rail would probably be nice on here, in my opinion. I'd put like a vertical grip or something like that. And you might be able to replace the bottom portion. I'm not sure how compatible this is with AK furniture. Probably not very. It's probably proprietary. I am not an expert when it comes to AKs or AK furniture because, you know, like Russian AKs use different furniture than the Zostivas, and there's all sorts of different patterns. So don't ask me. I don't know. But it would have been cool to have like a removable rail on the bottom here so you could put some sort of grip. I'm pretty sure I've seen pictures of them with like a rail on the bottom, so I'm sure in the military they can put that on there. No big deal. But stock, civilian-wise for the U.S., it doesn't have one. It has the back sight here. I did skip over the front sight. It's a typical AK sight. Typical, I mean, to adjust it, you'd have to use the like clamp adjustment tool, which I actually have one of those. For SKS's, AKs, they're all the same. It's not closed. It's not like it's got a dome on the top of it like my SKS is covered. It's open on the top, and then the back one is typical AK as well. It is marked with white in it. So while I'm here, I'm going to show you the muzzle brake. So directly on the top, well, actually, that's not directly on the top. It's like at an angle, 25-degree angle, 15-degree, I don't know, from the top. And then on the side, that's also at an angle, kind of downwards. And then on the opposite side, there's 2 holes as well. So however they decided to balance it, it works pretty well. Maybe it could have been better, I don't know, but it seems to be really good for flash. I haven't shot it at night, but during the day, there is no fireball out of it. Again, typical AK sight, it is actually filled in white, so you could easily see that even if it's dark. You could see the numbers. A lot of AKs don't have that colored in. There is a rail system on the top here. I don't believe this came with it. I'm pretty sure he purchased it on its own, but it is made for the Beryl. This is a proprietary unit that hooks up to the front here, and that's actually really cool how they do this, because one of the biggest problems with AKs is mounting an optic. It's just hard. Sometimes there's a rail up front here, which is just stupid in my opinion. They also make, what do they call them, Ultimac systems that literally replace the back sight, and it's a rail. That's too far forward in my opinion. So the way that this rail system works is a little bit different than the Zostiva. The Zostiva is pretty acceptable in my opinion. It is mounted to the dust cover, but it's like a Krinkov style. So Krinkov, like the 762 or not 762 545 Krinkovs, how it hinges here instead of just pulling straight off. This sighting system I really like. That Picatinny, it's mounted into place really solidly. Those screws have never come loose, and I've double checked them, and I just put a micro red dot on here, and I've never had a problem with it coming unzeroed, and it's not too far forward that it's not usable, because putting it up here would be ridiculous. That's far too far. It does have to be taken off when you do clean the rifle, so that is a con to it, whereas on the Zostiva, it's attached. The optic that is on here is a True Glow. As you can see on the other side, it's marked. It is like a LPVO style. It is a 1:4 by 25 objective, and it does go from, it actually goes in increments. Well, it goes from 4 to 3, but then you also get 2.5, 2, and then 1.5, 1. So it's weird that they don't do 3.5. It just goes from 4 to 3 and then to 2.5. Now, I do like how this optic has a lever on it for the adjustment, so you could kind of, if you know, blast in at 200 yards, 300 yards, and then somebody pops up at 50 feet, and you just yank it over, and then pop, 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 and then go back to long range, do what you gotta do. So it's easy to adjust. My LPVO doesn't have that. You gotta, use your hand a little bit more. It is attached with 2 thumb knobs. Now, moving on to the receiver, there's a couple of cool things on here. One is the magazine catch is massive, which I really like. On a typical AK, it is small, like this. You could argue, oh, you could accidentally hit the mag catch, but when is that ever going to happen? It's protected underneath the rifle. So I would rather have something like this over a smaller one, in my opinion. Now, the safety on it does have a ledge, so you could easily push it down. It is really tight, very tight. I loosened mine up. You can actually loosen these up. I don't know if the owner has done that with this, but you can literally just bend it. You just pull it out of the receiver and just bend it. That's what I did with my Zostava, and it is much easier to move. So that is a personal preference, but it does have a ledge on there, so you theoretically can get more leverage on it to go up as well. There's tape on here because the casings do smack the side of the dust cover right there. Top cover, rather. The magazine is plastic or polymer, some sort of plastic material. It might even be, polycarbonate. Not sure. Polycarbonate's typically kind of a crappy plastic. So I don't know. These are WBP Polish made. Personally, I don't really care for these mags all that much. I think the owner got like 5 of them or so, give or take 4 or 5, and one of them just jams on the last round every single time. So it's probably just a lemon, but it happens. Now the Zostava magazines, I bought 4 of them, and I haven't had a lemon with them. And these also do fit the Beryl. So this fits in here just fine. Pretty cool mag if you ask me. It has some steel in there, so it is reinforced, a little bit stronger than these. Like, I can squeeze these a little bit, I'd imagine. Like, if you run this over with a truck, it may break, especially if it's on concrete. But if you're rough with them, I can see them breaking. These are a little bit stronger. Also, the Zostava magazine has a bolt hold open. So on the last round, it will lock open. So that's pretty cool in my opinion. It doesn't stay locked back when you take the mag out. It does go forward, but it's pretty cool because just by shooting, you can kind of feel it. And if you just, take your eye out of the scope or just glance down, you can see it back. So either you had a malfunction, which is pretty unlikely, this is really reliable, or you're out of ammo. The pistol grip on here is kind of typical. It reminds me of a AK-74, really. Like, it's like a Russian polymer. It's not Bakelite, it's like legitimately polymer. The trigger on here is pretty interesting. It's kind of a straight bow, almost. It's got a little curve at the bottom. In terms of the trigger pull and everything, I want to say it's one of the better, probably the best stock AK trigger I've felt. I do not like stock AK triggers at all. I put a ALG in both of the AK type guns I have. The reset's not too bad. Like I said, the best AK trigger I've ever felt. It's probably 4.5, 5 pounds, so not too bad. Pretty good for a stock trigger. So here's the trigger pull. You have quite a bit of play. It's almost like 2-stage. You get right to the wall, and it's not too creepy at all. You know what I mean? It's the reset. Got a little bit of play. Very audible. Pretty nice, to be honest. Play. Pretty short reset, really. Onto the stock. It does not fold. That is one complaint I do have about the gun. I would really like a folding stock, and you might be able to attach one, but I like folding stocks for AKs. And I know, oh, you don't have a folding stock for your Zostava. I know, it is a brace, it's collapsible, so it's adjustable. It would have been cool to have a folding brace on that one, or a folding stock on this one. So kind of just a little bit of a gripe on that, I guess. A lot of the Russian AKs and even some of the Zostavas have folding stocks or braces, depending on your barrel length, of course, because U.S. laws are trash. All right, so that's basically it for the gun itself. We are going to go shoot it. In terms of ammunition, I am going to be shooting Wolf steel case. That's what the owner shot through it. That's what I've shot through it as well, because I have shot this before. Just fun, cheap plinking ammo, Wolf steel case or Tula, just for the range. But ultimately, this is what I'd recommend to run through the gun to actually sight it in for. Now, why do I say that? Well, this stuff is pretty cheap, $9, $10 a box, 50 cents to 45 cents a round. Now, this stuff is not M193. I've seen chrono tests on YouTube of this. This is not M193. M193 is hotter. because it's a military spec. It does say WM93. Don't let that fool you. This is not M193. I can say that 100 times. It's not. It's a 223 loading, basically, is what it is. So they changed the box on these. They used to be the Wolf Gold box, and they just changed it all of a sudden to these white boxes. And I literally saw a YouTube chrono test where the guy tried both boxes. They were the same ammunition, different box. The Wolf Gold wasn't marked M193. It was marked 223. This, all of a sudden, they just changed it to M193. It makes no sense. It's not actually that. So it's a little bit less velocity, but it's 55 grain. That's what is optimized for the 1 in 9. This ammo is good. I know that. I've shot 500 rounds of this through my 18-inch AR, which is a 1 in 9 as well, and I have it sighted in for a 4-inch headshot target at 200 yards, and literally you have to try to miss. Like, you just, it's a red dot with a 3 times magnifier, and you just plaster the red dot over the target. It pretty much covers the whole thing. You pull the trigger, you do your part, it smacks the target every single time. So very accurate ammunition. It's been reliable, never ever had a malfunction with it. So I will be shooting 20 rounds of that through this. We will only have 100 yards and some Tula as well. And then I also have some of this Norma 62 grain green tip. This is SS109, same thing as the M93, or sorry, not M93, the M855. It's the mild steel core green tip, essentially, is what they call it.
Cosmo.